Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second season of Facilities in Focus. I am so glad you were able to join me on your journey of the internet today. But in case you may have forgotten, my name is Mackenna Moralez, and I am the Associate Editor of FacilitiesNet and the host of this very podcast. I'm sure you may all be familiar with my next guest, and he definitely doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. Today, I am joined by Shawn Black, a visionary leader and business strategist, AI nerd, and is passionate about business growth and innovation. As the host of Decoded, Shawn explores the intersection of leadership, technology, and transformation, empowering others to create a lasting impact. I know that I'm happy to have him here, but thank you so much for joining me today, Shawn. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, good. So I know that you're a big software and tech guy. So just tell me, what is the deal? What's the deal with artificial intelligence?
Oh my gosh, talk about a loaded question.
I know it's not one that I sent over.
It's interesting. I think it's exciting on multiple parts, multiple fronts, but it just depends on who you are. In this industry, in FM, there are some very early adopters, this guy, right? And then there are some late adopters, and a lot of them are not really dealing with the fact that AI is out there. They know it's there. They
Mhm.
know that it's going to be coming, but they just don't know what to do with it yet. And so it's a wide spectrum, but AI, what the deal is, for me, it is about the fact that it gives you back a resource that you cannot get more of, and that is time.
Right.
Hands down, it is about the time. And everything else is just cool. There are so many things that you can do with AI that would take you forever to do. And it just shortens that time down. And I'm just discovering every single day at this point new things to do with it. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's great. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. It's definitely one of my favorite things to do. I'm constantly we're using in our office every day to come up with new ways to make things more efficient. And
Right.
I think that's what it kind of comes down to.
And it's not a micro trend like I think a lot of people were expecting it to be. I think it's here to stay at this point.
Oh yeah, no, it's not going anywhere. I remember, so I'm a Gen Xer, so I remember when internet came out. That was a
Okay.
long time ago, by the way. um, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's cool. You can connect to other college campuses," and no one really understood how big it was going to be. I think this is on the line with how big internet has affected our lives. AI is going to affect our lives that much, and I probably 10 times that amount, actually, to be honest.
Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting perspective. So I always refer, I'm a zillennial, so like right in that in between age.
Hmm.
This is now the second time I've brought up my age on this podcast. But um, I always say that I'm a child of the internet and that I grew up with it. And while I do remember like going outside, I was also like a computer kid. I wouldn't say
Yeah,
that I was an iPad kid, but I was definitely a computer kid who liked being on the computer. So I
yeah,
remember how much internet has advanced over these years. Like growing up, I didn't need a computer until I was like in high school, and that's when it was required that we started printing everything
yes.
out. And I kind of love that technology has innovated so much because we were wasting a lot of paper, you guys, and just like growing up as a poor kid too and not having a printer, that was always such a stressful thing, and now you can just upload it to the cloud.
That is a fact. I remember when our printers were, like the little dot matrix printers, and
Yeah.
they would go back and forth, and it's incredible, honestly, the advances. Now, internet moved pretty fast, but I would say AI is moving way faster,
Okay.
way faster, because you now have AI that's also designing other AI, which is crazy to actually think about. But that is exactly what's happening.
Hmm. And I think people don't understand is how often AI is actually used in our
Mhm.
everyday life. For example, for our listeners, as I am talking, we have a transcription on the side, and it's recording everything that we're saying, so I can see where it is transcribing us, and that's AI. And people don't
Yeah.
realize that.
AI's been here for a while. Not to the extent that it is, but when people wake up in the morning and they tell Alexa to put on the news before they, go out and they check the weather on their iPhones, that's all AI. It's all machine learning. It's all programmed, and all that stuff is just a lower form of AI from the voice recognition that kind of grew into these large language models that are now developed into chat GPTs and the like, to
Hmm.
large action models, which now are doing things for people on their own. So it's getting pretty incredible.
Right. Do you think a large part of the innovation occurred because of the COVID pandemic?
I think that it probably did have something to do with that. People were trapped indoors and didn't have a lot to do. And I
Hmm.
think that did affect, what people were doing on the internet and the time they had on their hands, and the development, I think probably did, really spark it into an existence more than what it is. Certainly faster than I think it would have gone if we didn't have all that free time.
Right. I think they said that within 3 months we got 2 years worth of technological innovation during 2020. So it almost makes me wonder where would we be now if that did not happen? Like, would we have ChatGPT? Would we have all these other tools that are essentially making our lives a little bit easier?
Yeah. I think it was inevitable, right? I think it's been coming for a long time, much like quantum computing is on its way and it's already here. That's a whole other show, but it's I think it's inevitable. And then what happens after that, I don't know. We may have the new overlords that are going to be really over our lives shortly with AI, or you may just be someone who can help us, get stuff done. I think it's going to be somewhere in between, hopefully. And it's interesting. I make friends with your AI. That's all I can say.
Oh man, that's kind of scary to think about.
It is a little
But
scary, yeah. There's a lot of people who are very scared to use it because of that. And we at some point probably will have a singularity, and it will be intelligent enough to think on its own. The standard, I think the standard GPT 4.0 now is smarter than Einstein at this point. And
oh,
oh yes, has a higher IQ than Einstein.
is it still 2 years
Yeah.
behind though?
No,
No, so
no.
you
It the
it's up to date with everything?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's very fast. It's very up to date. They just launched Operator recently, which is an autonomous AI agent. A lot of these are in the marketplace right now. I'm bombarded constantly because I'm always searching for new AI. So I'm always being hit up by all kinds of new AI platforms that are coming out. But yeah, it's accelerating faster. It's by orders of magnitude. So we're talking 10x every time they
Mhm.
launch a new rendition. Gronk 3, which is was it Grok, which is oh my gosh, Elon Musk, this little project
Oh, the
that
Twitter on Twitter?
yeah, the Twitter, yeah. So the Gronk 3 just launched, and it is an order of a magnitude better than it was, which was 10x, and it is extraordinarily smart. And there's different types of AI, and some are very good at coding, some are very good at language models and predictive language models, and really good at scheduling and optimization, and others are really good at creating graphics. So there's not really one that kind of does it all right now. There's lots of different flavors.
Right. Where do you think the ethicalness of of AI, where's the line for
It's
that?
a good question. That's loaded because Oh, man, I don't know. It's blurry, to say the least.
Right.
The thing is that AI sources materials from millions of web pages and millions of content and books and everything else that's online. And so, what makes the content more original? I don't know. If you're writing a book and you have a ghostwriter write it, is that authentic? No. But if you have AI help you with your writing, is that authentic? I don't know. I think so. On how you use it. I think there's a fine line with every single piece of technology that has come out, and that will continue to blur. And it's interesting. I don't know. It's a good question.
Right. And so, students who might be listening to this, do not use AI to do your homework. You got to learn that on your own. I think that is a very ethical, that is a very clear line. Do your homework on your own.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying. Oh, did I say that out loud? No, you should not cheat. Don't cheat. It's bad. It is bad. But I mean, if you're gonna learn something, the AI, the desktop version. Here's an example with my youngest, who's in high school. She was going through an internship for CSI, and so she had an interview coming up. Well, I loaded up 4.0 and turned on the voice version of it because you can talk to it on the desktop model and on your cell phone. And I had to interview her for the position. And so it was very good, and it graded her answers, and I don't know. So in that way, if you need a study buddy, you got it.
Right. I think there's ways
But
to use it where you don't creep into that faulty line. Like I have a friend who uses ChatGPT for when she's writing, she'll put in what she said and have it summarized to see if it makes sense. Like if what she is
yeah,
writing makes sense for her.
yeah,
I know other people who have used it to write questions. There are ways to use technology where it will make your life easier. And I was actually talking to another person for the podcast earlier today, and I was saying
mm,
facilities is hard, or maintenance is hard on your body, and technology makes it easier so that you can be in the workforce longer, so that you don't have to switch positions if you like what you are doing.
yeah. Any advantage, I look at it this way: it's just another tool in a tool belt, right? And if you have the right tool, the job is so much easier than having the wrong tool. Trust me,
Mhm.
I know. There are times where I want to do a project and I don't have the right tools, and I'll just stop because I know it's just going to be a nightmare without them. And AI isn't just another tool. Granted, it's a very powerful tool, and it's advancing people's careers and changing them, ending careers as well, but also creating new ones. So
Right.
there's a whole lot that goes with it.
How do you think we can prevent people from becoming too reliant on AI?
I don't think we can.
Oh, okay. What about for
Yeah.
facilities?
Oh man, it's going to be tough. We have a very wide generational gap in facilities. We have an older demographic who is aging out of facilities, and we have a new demographic coming in. The new demographic coming in is very much technology driven. They love
Mhm.
SLAs. They love the data. The older crowd, somewhere in between my age, they're both. They like the data and they don't want to be completely dependent on it. But it seems to me that the younger crowd don't see it like they're dependent on it. They see it like it gives them an advantage in their careers.
Right.
And I think that's fine. I don't know. I don't want my I know it's not going to make you dumber. but it definitely will. I mean, if you don't think on your own, you have to have critical thought, right? And
Right.
if you're using AI to do all your critical thinking for you, then yeah, that's gonna be a problem.
Mhm. What you're saying is, I actually interviewed a recent college grad for the
Yeah,
podcast about technology and how it is setting them apart with
yeah,
their colleagues. And he was saying how he's just so excited to for this technology that he's so eager to learn it, and that sometimes he feels like that he's the guinea pig for it because he's
Hmm.
willing to take on that challenge.
That's awesome. Do take on that challenge.
Yeah.
Be that guinea pig. You're going to be the one who's advancing faster than everyone.
Yeah, and I guess I get a little frustrated because the older generation is saying that people my age and younger, they don't want to work, they don't want to get their hands dirty, but then the Wall Street Journal is calling Gen Z the tool belt
Yeah.
generation because more kids are going to trade schools than like ever before. And if kids don't want to get their hands dirty, why are they doing this? And if they're willing to take on the challenge of learning technologies, then you can't say that they're not willing to get their hands dirty. This is a whole different tool, as you've been saying.
Well, I will tell you, I hear you about your generation and the view. So I mean, okay, every generation is viewed as having some kind of lack. The boomers looked at my generation completely the same way, like we'll never do. I think it's just a thing that happens. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
It gives old people something to talk about. I don't know. It just is. When I look at my kids and my kids are Gen Z, I don't agree with that. I think that they are going back into trades. I know that I've seen the data. I know that my generation was sold a lie, which was if you go to college and get a degree and you get in a huge amount of debt, that you're going to be fine. You'll have a great career and blah, blah, blah. It's not true. I mean, college is a wonderful thing, but it has changed a lot. And we really, uh, Mike Rowe does a great bit on this, and I will never do justice, but he talks about how the trades were really undermined. And when he went to his guidance counselor and he sat in his office, there was literally a picture of a plumber and a graduate for college. And it literally referenced the fact that you don't want to be a plumber.
That's so dumb.
Right? Which is like, that is I know that is so dumb, but that is what happened. I know I lived through, and Mike and I are not far from the same age. And so it's just one of those things where we're like, oh man, that you don't want to be in trades because it's hard labor and it's hard. Yeah, but you can make great money and a great career out of being in trades. And I think this generation, Gen Z and even Gen Alpha, they're gonna look at the world in a different way. And I think the trades are going to change.
Right.
The trades are changing. They are becoming, yes, you're still pounding nails, but there are a lot of trades that are becoming even more technical every single day. Facility management is becoming very technical.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's, with the advances of AI and all the things we were talking about, it's changing who it's attracting to the trades. And I think that's a great thing because we need people that know how to fix stuff.
Right. So what are the biggest challenges facility managers face that AI is helping to solve?
Yeah, there's a lot. AI, it's interesting because, like I said, there's some early adopters with this. A lot of people in the HVAC industry are really adopting this. I
Mm-hmm.
have at a very high level because they're able to put IoT devices and gather data from equipment, and they can see trends. When you're able to do that, you can move from a reactive state
Mm-hmm.
to a proactive maintenance state. And that's one of the biggest challenges in FM. Everyone tends and has for quite some time run around with hair on fire.
Right.
And that costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of downtime, which is another big thing that AI will be able to help reduce. The downtime costs tremendous amount of resources and money, and you can really avoid that by utilizing technology, gathering that data, seeing what's going on with your smart buildings, even understanding, that these rooms are too cold, and you're going to have issues down the line and burning the units out. And there's a plethora of things that AI can do that solves problems. Space utilization. Oh my gosh, AI can really help with space planning and help people in FM understand the effects of people having gone remote or coming
Mm-hmm.
back to the office, depending on the politics of the place. Uh, and so that's another advantage is the space utilization. That's a big problem for FMs. It's hard to understand and predict what kind of demands are going to be on that building. And then I'd say sustainability. I know a lot of companies have a lot of really green initiatives that they've been rolling out. AI will help with that. Again, it's about collecting the right data and understanding what's going on with the materials that's being used and what kind of materials are being recycled, and understanding the return on investment on all of these programs.
I know that we talked a little bit before about how technology is helping with so many other aspects, but that also maintenance is hard on the body.
Yeah.
How is AI helping from like a safety standpoint?
From a safety standpoint, well, it's interesting. It's a good question. Um, by being able to plug in and gather this data ahead of time, you can predict unsafe conditions before they happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, guys that are working with materials that can become dangerous, sometimes they'll hop into a job and you can have a boiler explode, or you can. I mean, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with a technician in the field, and AI does give you that opportunity to read into systems ahead of time and understand there's unsafe working conditions.
Right. And just like kind of gives people a heads up
Yeah,
a little bit.
it automates reporting, right? And so when you automate reporting, you literally can make sure that the maintenance is completed on time, and things are done on time. So you're eliminating some of those dangerous situations where things are going to break down in a really bad way.
Mm-hmm. What are some risks or limitations of relying on AI? I know we kind of talked about it, but when it comes to reporting.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
If you, just like anything else, if you are loading a CRM or any kind of database with bad data, you're going to have bad results.
Mm-hmm.
So, trust but verify. Trust but verify the data that's being given to you. You can't automatically assume the AI is going to be 100% correct, right? I've had this question come up. I was on a roundtable at an event not too long ago, and like, well, how do you know that it's right? Well, go check it. I mean, you're a human being. That's what we have you for. You're
Right.
you're supposed to. AI will never be as good as a human at your best on some things, but it also will be able to help support you in things that you suck at, and be able to look at very large amounts of data and gather that information is something that we're not that great at. We're really good at pattern recognition, but it's way better than we are at that. So being able to gather that data is important, but you have to check it. It's AI. It's not perfect, right?
Right.
Human oversight is still very much needed to interpret what the AI data is telling us.
Right. Technology can fail. And Shawn and I just learned it because our
It
video
can
call cut out.
Things can go wrong.
And like here we are like, oh, Teams has been around for years now, we won't have any problems, and then it just suddenly stopped working. Like technology
Yeah.
can fail, and I think people need to do routine audits of their technology. What is a process that people can start to implement so that they can ensure that their data is accurate and that their technology is running smoothly?
Yeah. I mean, I think just like anything else, you have a reporting that's generated consistently. You have to have a practice of checking that data consistently.
Mhm.
Like you said, trust but verify. You need to have an understanding that the data needs to be verified, and that needs to be a consistent practice throughout your process. No matter if you're at the very top of the food chain or you're at the technician level who's gathering the data.
Right.
Go check it out.
How often should people check out their systems?
I think it depends on the systems, you know. A lot of these are done quarterly. With the ability to now see things and predict circumstances allows us to know a lot better when things need to get checked. And realistically, now monitoring the data in real time, we can make that decision. In fact, AI is really good about telling us, hey, guess what? This unit really needs to be checked out within the next few weeks, or it could have some issues. So I think before we'd be like, oh, we'll just put this on a quarterly schedule and let it go. Well, sometimes that works very well, and a lot of the budgeting, a lot of our reporting is set up on quarterly, monthly, and weekly basis. But equipment fails, happen all the time. So those are some of the things that AI will be able to kind of prevent is getting the data ahead of time, seeing it in real time, and then showing it proactively, so you're not going to have issues.
Right. It's almost like you can't have a set it and forget it mindset.
No. Yeah, that does.
Happens to work in facilities, you guys. Have you ever, like, hot take, you cannot set it and forget it.
You cannot set it and forget it. That's your viral clip. Don't set it and forget it. Yeah, it's not a roast.
This is not a crock pot.
Yeah, it's not a crock pot. Yeah. The thing is, it's like you can't set and forget a human, right? So why would you set it and forget it? Because it's AI, it's data driven, it's a computer. All things need attention. You have to maintain things no matter what. It's delegation at its highest form still, right? When you delegate as a leader, you still have to check in with the people you're delegating with. If you're going to delegate tasks to AI, you better check in. Like, things can go wrong. Okay, I'll give you a little story. This last week, I started using Operator, which is a AI agent for ChatGPT, and it does task for you. You give it instructions, and it will go out on platforms and book your flights, or book this, or contact this person, or leave a message, or write an email, and you can get it to write in your voice. And there's all kinds of great stuff with that. But it can go awry. I literally watched it work in my LinkedIn profile and move to Salesforce on it, or Sales Navigator on its own.
I kind of use that.
It's just straight up moved on its own. I'm like, well, I didn't tell you to do that. And it's changing search parameters to maximize. I'm like, whoa, I never told you to do that. So you have it starts thinking on its own. And that's where we have to keep an eye on things.
Right. That's too much control.
It's a little crazy. So yeah, I think once you set it and forget it, you're setting yourself up for major problems.
And you can't have that because that costs so much money.
It can make a major problem with your reputation as well. If it's making decisions that are based on data driven assets that you have in the field, or what you have stuff coming in, and it's auto scheduling for you, it can schedule things wrong. I mean, it's not perfect. You have to have oversight on it. You do. Yeah, for sure.
I think a lot of people are very scared of AI. I mean, I guess me included, because I just said that I hated what you were talking about. But how can facility managers ensure a smooth transition when integrating AI into their existing systems?
Yeah. Education. It's education and it's baby steps. You're going to have to roll it out in baby steps. We had this discussion internally. We're working on a AI strategy for a company, and no one is moving as fast in this company as I am, and I can't expect other people to move that fast and adopt that quickly. It just doesn't make sense, right? So I'm like, okay, let's not roll out Operator to every single person here. That doesn't make sense. Let's just start with, the standard chat, and let's teach them how to use the basics. and then to
Mhm.
continue to work with people on their pace because everyone learns differently, everyone uses differently. And I think if you're going to assume that you can just roll something out and people will figure it out, it's not the case.
Right. It's change management. And I like
Yeah,
what you said about the baby steps because I think that is a mistake that a lot of companies
yeah.
make is that they roll it all out at once and then they expect everyone to be on board and we're like me included, it's like, no,
Whoa, yeah,
no.
yeah,
Hands up, like pause for a second.
I think there's two major mistakes. One is digging your heels in and going, I'm not going to roll this out. I'm going to wait until everyone else does. And that's a mistake.
Mm.
But I think the second one is, is biting off too much than you can chew. And I think baby steps is the way to go. But for goodness sake, get started. Like if you are not using AI, please go out there and start using it. Start learning about it. Start using it because it is here. It is going to change everything we do in our careers, personally at home or professional and personal lives. So get started with it. Don't wait. I think that's a major mistake.
Yeah. But like you said, facilities management is older. They have older workers. How can we get them on board besides just baby steps? There has to be an eager or like a willingness to learn.
Yeah, I mean, just like anyone that you have in your organization, if they're not coachable, that's a problem, right?
Mhm.
So people need to be coachable, but I think there is a inherent trust issue with AI with some people, and that just is going to take time and proof of concept. And when
Mhm.
people see it rolled out and see what it can do and start utilizing it and start getting into it, I think that will change people's minds. It just
Right.
takes people to actually be open enough to start learning how to use it. Just like people let go of the flip phone and went to a smartphone. There are still
Right.
people who have flip phones, I know.
Oh my gosh,
But
if my parents had a choice, they would still have a flip phone.
I know I had one. They were awesome.
um, it's almost like we have to go back to an elementary school mindset and
Yeah.
lead by example. Because when
Yeah.
people see you do it, they're going to do it.
Yeah. I agree. Monkey see, monkey do, right? Yeah, I mean, social pressure to change is definitely part of this, but I think the biggest thing is it's just having someone be able to introduce it to them that is able to explain the benefits to them and how it works and take time to go through it with them individually. It's going to be difficult for people to adopt if they don't understand why they need to do it. They need to understand the why. And
Mhm.
for me, like I said, the why is getting the one resource we can't get more of, that's time. And to
Right.
be quite honest, the older generation, I mean, I'm 50, so I have like 26 years left of my life on average. What do I want to do with those years? That's morbid, I know. But listen, that's a fact, right? So people who are older need to understand, you only have a certain amount of time left and you better use it the most efficient way possible. And if you are able to explain that, that could be all. I know, right? You've got
Right. Like
26 years left
you're
till
you're
you
gonna
live.
you're gonna get time back if you use technology. I guess a less morbid way to explain that is that you could be doing other aspects of your job that you like more than
Yeah.
just repetitive
Yeah.
things,
The 80/20 rule,
nuisance
right?
things.
Yeah, I love the 80/20 rule. You should be using 80% of your genius at work all the time. And then the rest of the 20%, now, a lot of it can be done with AI.
Hmm. How do we convince people that it's not going to take their jobs?
It is. It is going to take some jobs, but it's also going to create some new jobs, right? You have to be realistic. There are some jobs, if you are a content writer and that's all you do, you better get some more skill sets because people can use AI to create content in a flash. And
Mhm.
so there's a lot of jobs that will go to the wayside, but it's going to create equal amount of opportunity for the people who are open to growing.
Okay, well, I guess as a journalist, I do have to disagree with that. I don't think human writers are going to go anywhere because no one writes as well as a human. Can nobody adds the human element to it.
Right
Like
now.
a well, a robot can't talk to people. They can't. Nobody's going to a robot isn't going to interview you. And so, I, for this is an audio medium, Shawn, so he is looking at me very skeptical, and I don't think that AI is going to eliminate content writers. I don't.
All right, let's come back in a year and talk.
That sounds like a threat.
It's I think, and even if from a year from now, our conversation will be much different. It's moving that quickly. Like I've seen it move in the last 2 years at breakneck speed, and it's now booking my reservations for me. So to say that
Yeah,
it can't think on its own, it can.
I like it, at least for me, because this is my profession, it is just
Yeah,
so obvious when
yeah,
something is written by AI. And like, sure, social media is a poison, whatever, whatever, but it does have that little toggle now that says when something is written in AI, and I think that is important. Like,
yeah,
if you can't write your own Facebook status,
yeah.
at least own up to it.
Dear Lord, I hope so. I hope you can. Yeah. I do. I mean, I get that. I don't know. I think we have to disagree. I think at some point it will be good enough that you won't know the difference. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll come back a year from now. Now it is a threat, I guess.
I promise you I want to come back. We should definitely do that a year from now. I would love to see and we can revisit this because I really think in a year from now we will be advanced enough to where we won't know the difference.
Okay, so that does kind of lead to the last question that I have for you today.
Nice.
Not trying to push it off because we're fighting right now. We're still besties,
We're
Shawn.
not fighting. It's a lively discussion.
But how do you see AI evolving in the facility management industry over the next? Well, I originally wrote decade, but let's say year, since we're going to come back in a year and talk to each other.
Hmm, there's a lot. I think we talked a lot about AI and IoT. I think that's going to continue to progress.
Hmm.
I think IoT sensors are going to be slapped on every piece of equipment they can be put on. And I think that data is going to be collected and monitored, and it's going to change the way that facilities are done. Um, Robotics and drones, I think, with the launch of these, and I know you're going to be like, what? But the launch with the robotics, they're going to be so good. It is going to be iRobot here very shortly.
Hmm.
It will.
I agree with that because earlier today I did interview someone about robotic mowers. And as someone who refuses to do yard work, please, I don't hate that idea.
See, I love your enthusiasm with robotics. I'm all about it. As soon as I can get Android robotic person that will be with me and do what I need as an assistant, I'm down. Sign me up. 20 grand from Elon Musk. Here's my card. Take it. Take it.
Boo. Shawn actually wrote an article about Elon Musk's robots. I'll make sure to link it in the show notes below.
They're awesome. I want one. Truly. Yeah. I mean, but let's be realistic, right? There are jobs that can only be done by humans, and there are jobs that can be done by robotics. They're getting better and better and better. Assembly workers, they're already being used in Elon's factories. They're going to be replacing people and Amazon like left and right. Sorry, Amazon, but packaging drones and robotics, no problem. You can move a package. They're going to continue to be sophisticated, and I really think that they will either assist or completely replace some trades. Yep.
Do you think that it would replace facilities management?
No.
We're safe, you guys.
Yeah. I think people in the management, the people who have to do the critical thought, who have to oversee, just like I said, you can't set and forget it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need oversight, and human oversight is going to be needed for that. But I really think that robotics will be a huge influencer on what happens moving forward, combined with AI. Yeah.
Very interesting. I'm going to write down your predictions, Shawn.
I love it. I can't wait.
And I know we're kind of in like a time machine right now because this podcast is going to release a little while after we record this. Thanks. But as of March 4th, you have these predictions about robotics and IoT. And we'll talk next year.
Yeah. The last one I'll give you, I think, will be much like robotics will change the industry. Autonomous AI buildings will change the industry. Smart buildings will go from smart to self-sufficient.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Shawn. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited to be, a part of the Trade Press Media and everything you guys are doing. I love your podcast. You're doing a great job. I can't wait to be on it next year.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for listening to the Facilities in Focus podcast. Facilities in Focus is a product of the facility market, which houses FacilitiesNet, building operating management, facilities maintenance decisions, and healthcare facilities today. Thank you to our sound and video editor, Paul Ellertson. Thank you to Morgan Johnson for designing our logo. Thank you to Dan Welton, Dave Lubach, Dan Hounsell, Jeff Warden, Jill McDermott, and everyone else at Trade Press Media Group. For comments, or if you are interested in being a guest on Facilities in Focus, please email us at fnpodcast@tradepress.com.